This is the Green Talk Show. My name is Daniel Chimera Trevor, and I am your host. And today's topic is reasonable consumption and production. For those who follow the UN goals, that is goal number 12. Now, today we shall have a variety who shall be discussing this topic. First and foremost, we have Mr. Siru. He's the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change. That is UNC triple C. And we shall be digging, we shall be explaining why we need to start making sure that whatever we consume, we make sure that it can be reused or it is properly disposed of, because every single day there is wastage being made, and we no longer have that luxury to say that the next generation should worry. Now, some brief figures in the fashion business. Out of every five cloth made, three at the end of the year is destroyed. Now, through that destruction process, there's burning, which produces CO and so much more. Therefore, we need to see how can we um, produce enough and then make sure that this is properly disposed of and properly consumed, because there is 1.3 billion food produced every year which is not properly accessed and goes to the trash, yet 1 billion people are starving or are malnourished, so therefore there is an excess still there. So, in today's talk show, we shall be discussing related to that. Now, my panelists today, we have the regional lead for UNC, for UNFCCC, that is the United Nations Framework for uh, a convention for climate change. And then we have Miss Shadia. She's the co-founder of Zan Foundation. And we have Mr. Joseph with Mr. Joseph. He is a debater, and he shall explain more who he is as goes for the rest. So, first off, we shall have Mr. Joseph. He's 19 years. He is a debater, public speaker, and he's the head of he's the head of marketing for a project producing reusable pads for girls in eastern Uganda. And what he shall be handling first within these first few minutes are why the need for a drastic rethink of the global approach to climate change and its side effects. Mr. Joseph, hello?
Hello, can you get me?
Yes, I can. I can. May you please
I'm
turn on
sorry for
your
my sorry for my
may
video. I'm actually in total darkness, so I don't know if you're actually pardon me for that.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So, um, uh, As of today, Uganda has over 300 million species of mammals alone. And and at the current rate at which climate change is persisting, 1 million species is believed to go extinct by 2050. But to bring that figure closer to home, we see that we're going to have a possible six mass extinction events by 2030 for creatures like rhinos, gorillas, and so on. So, from your point of view, why do you think we need a drastic rethink of the global view of climate change? Because we can no longer stop. So,
Okay, thank you very much, our host for tonight. Well, for the audience, I'm Joseph. I'm a Ugandan male feminist, and I'm also an entrepreneur and public speaker. Okay, for the specific question there, I feel we need a drastic change, drastic change in our global approach to climate change because we see many approaches have been evolved over the years out of experience of local natural resource management, and these have helped to absorb shocks and stress with the help of their traditional knowledge, social capital, and local nutrition. But many of them have actually these approaches are already there within the world today. But I feel like we need a drastic change, a rethink to restructure these approaches to have them more effective. Because as I told you, we have these approaches already within our reach, but they're actually not as effective as we actually expect them to be. So we need a drastic restructuring and rethinking of how to have this more effective to the level of expectation that we want as people of the world. So I have selected a few case studies from a state in Asia called Jharkhand, and it demonstrates a fair degree of success, and it exemplifies adaptation in these kinds of situation of climate change. So the case studies also build our perspectives on conflict sensitive interventions having local acceptance and aimed at developing the resilience of the community in the long run. So one of the approaches that we already have current in the world is adapting to this climate change. We have nothing else to do but adapt to it and be resilient onto it. But we actually need to see something that is going to be for a long run, that is actually going to take give us more likely positive outcomes than what we are seeing right now. So I feel like if we have community based adaptation, we can actually have better outcomes of our call in in mitigating climate change. So as I told you, I have a case study on a state in Asia now, and it's community-based adaptation in that state. So I'm exploring local responses, and I believe that actually local response is actually one of the moves that we need to take in the world so as to have a positive impact in our mitigation of climate change. So for the tribal communities here, the coping and adaptation strategies include the efforts of the individual an individual, the family, the household, and the community under a leadership at the village level. The tribal communities of this state in Asia have a rich indigenous knowledge about their microenvironments such as weather, climate, forestry, indigenous medicinal practices, and so much more. Now, all these have helped them in overcoming climate stresses and shocks in the past and present. Therefore, with such a study, there is evidence of coping. One, there is evidence of coping with climate change and variability when communities have already adapted measures. For example, creating water harvesting
So
tanks, lift irrigation.
may- um, yes, you have mentioned
Yeah.
that there has been some success uh, in parts of the world, which is great, and which is something we need to pick up, and which is something we need to learn. But I want you to stress the reason why we need to rethink. Because, point example, the worst effects of climate change are believed to start showing themselves by as close as 2050, which is not far because you and me, we're still going to be very much alive by that time. So, explain to us, why do we need a drastic rethink to fight climate change? Please.
Okay. Why do we need this kind of drastic approach to climate change? Is first of all, I would refer to my a project where I'm the head of marketing, and we do reusable sanitary pads for girls and women. So the reason as to why we actually, I would relate it to this, so please pay attention carefully. So why we set up such a project is, first of all, we had a case study. We had to come and sit on the drawing board and realize that these disposable pads that actually on the market currently are one of the things that actually causing, unfortunately, are one of the things that are causing or leading to climate change that we see in the world today. Why? Because these are disposable pads. So when, and most of the ladies that use these disposable pads actually do not care to do not mind where they throw, where they dump them. They just throw them anywhere on the street as long as they have dropped it away from their reach. So they do not care about that. So and that actually it causes harm to the soil. It causes harm to the soil, and to the soil that could have been used for maybe perhaps agriculture. So when we actually come up with another form of innovation such as a reusable pad, we come up and saw that this reusable pad can actually be reused for over and over again for perhaps a year. But the other disposable pad, first of all, it is going to be disposed of perhaps on the ground or in a certain drain. That, for example, if you go into our slums here in Uganda, you will find those drains filled with such things, with such with such a sort of garbage. So and that actually affects the soil, it affects the environment itself, so hence leading to climate change. Because alone, we did some research, and that disposable pad alone, one, takes about 500 to 800 years to decompose fully. So you can imagine how many pads could be dropped in a single drain or on the ground in a single community around, and how that is actually going to cause or lead us to climate change. So why do we need a drastic approach to this? And that means we need a long-term effort to this. I mean, approach to this, a long-term that is actually going to see us actually register more successes. Is if we actually encourage one such a use of such new innovations, such as, for example, reusable pads, and we also have governments banning the use of uh, things like polythene bags, and we have more environmentally friendly approaches, unlike these ones that are actually leading to a lot of increased climate change within our communities.
So, thank you. Lastly, can you provide us a brief view?
Sanitary pads and the dangers of this. So I think I've actually summarized the answer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Uh, Next up, we shall have the regional lead for UNFCCC. It's the United Nations framework for climate change. No, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. He's a national from Germany. He's Maitri's mentor. He's a good friend, and he helped us launch the Maitri Trade Nasser. Sorry. So, from your point of view, first off, thank you so much for accepting to come on. And my first question to you is, um, Uganda being one of the fastest growing nations worldwide, how can we grow in such a way that is going to be environmentally friendly? So which sectors would you propose the people viewing they can invest in, which shall help them support uh, nature?
Hi, good evening, Daniel. I hope you can hear me well and clearly. Um, First of all, thank you so much for the invitation, and also
Welcome, sir.
to Ishmael and the whole team. It's really a great pleasure to be with you this evening. Also, thanks to the audience. I mean, yeah, it's a Friday night, and you're taking your time to watch this fireside chat, this dialogue. And I guess you're staying home and respecting the curfew and staying safe from COVID. So, thanks for joining. Um, Maybe first a little bit about myself, Daniel. I've I've had an interest in the environment for a long time. I mean, like all of us, I like to have clean air and clean water and unspoiled landscapes and forests. And I actually grew up in New Zealand, and I really felt like a sense of duty, to protect and to support the natural heritage that we were bequeathed with. And in my youth, actually, I was involved in tree planting initiatives in New Zealand, either as a volunteer or working on public land, or working on friends' properties, or with neighbours planting trees. So the My Tree initiative is somehow close to my heart, and I'm very glad that we found each other here in Uganda. Um, and yeah, since that time, I've also become a father. So I've got two little girls, and somehow my resolve to protect the environment has somehow been hardened through that as well. Because what is the natural heritage that I will be bequeathing, the next generation, when you look outside? So, and to the youth listening tonight. And we know how dire and urgent the situation is. So it's really good that we're having this conversation. We're seeing more climatic extreme events in Uganda, but also worldwide. We see it in the news all the time. Events that we didn't see even 30 or 40 years ago. Things like, particularly in Uganda, flooding, landslides, and then more broadly, heat waves and drought as well. So I'm really encouraged that there is a next generation that is prepared to take action like yourselves, and to implement measures, and also to advocate for the environment. So you are asking about some of the opportunities in Uganda.
Yes, yes.
So I think we don't need to look at a specific, maybe traditional part of the economy when you think green and sustainable, like manufacturing solar panels, or somehow being involved in the manufacturing of renewable energy equipment. I think we need to look at Uganda and see that it's largely an environmentally led economy still. And then if we look to your third national development plan from running from 2020 to 2025, It's looking to transform the economy from the status quo to a middle income country by around 2050. And the idea is to, get there by diversifying the economy and pursuing industrialization. So just looking at, I think, the two of the sectors within the National Development Plan. It mentions many, but some of them are maybe more somehow traditional, based on mining or fossil fuel exploration. So I'm not going to talk about those ones so much, but rather I think coming back to agriculture, because it's such a core issue for Uganda, is that it's really necessary for Uganda to capture more of the value chain. So exporting and producing agricultural goods that are further processed. I see that the demand will be there. You have a huge population growth, I think, as you mentioned, in Uganda, but it's not only in the Uganda, it's also in the region, and you're exporting as well to the neighbors these agricultural products. But yeah, if only something of higher value, something more processed could be brought to the neighboring countries. And I mean, you're urbanizing very rapidly as well as the high growth rate. So agriculture will continue to play a key role for many years to come. And then in the agricultural sector, I think you need to look as well at the nature-based solutions in the production and the processing of the produce. So there are measures like agroforestry or no-till farming or organic farming, or cutting down on energy use, or judicious use of fertilizers and pesticides, which will all go a long way to transforming the way that you do the agriculture here. And then can I make one more point? Or I wanted to mention also about manufacturing, but because that is also going to play more of a role. That as Uganda develops, the manufacturing will take on a more of a key role. So, thanks, Daniel. Back to you.
All right. So, we know there are a lot of green jobs there, like you have so far mentioned, waste management, solar power jobs, and then so on. But we see that there has been a shortage, or there's been a lack of their presence being felt. So my question for you is, why is there a gap? Why is there a shortage? And then how can we best tackle it? So back to you.
Sure. Thanks, Daniel. So I think I'm not so much an expert in the education sector here in Uganda, but I would say that sometimes I think there can be a kind of a structural mismatch where it takes a lot longer for to build up the academic capacity as compared to how quickly the economy is transforming. So it takes time for the curriculum to be updated. It takes time for new expertise and teachers to come online into the system and to teach in the new areas. And at the same time as well, I think it takes time for students to appreciate new career opportunities. They might still be thinking of some, those traditional things, and not be grasping these opportunities because they don't know really that it exists. So I think sessions like this can be quite important in that respect to raise awareness about the opportunities out there, and also to highlight that the transition to a greener economy is underway, and that the opportunities exist these days that weren't really available to a previous generation. But of course, there's a part to play as well for government, the vocational training centers, the universities, to keep their courses up to date and forward looking and relevant. Because kind of in a similar vein as well, I just wanted to mention the problem of the brain drain as well in Uganda. That there is a tendency for people that are well educated that can really support as well, this transition and a greener economy, that they may see, similar opportunities across the borders or in Europe or in North America, and apply their expertise and their training and skills that were partially or wholly developed, here in Uganda with all the support of Uganda, and then they apply it somewhere else. So there is somehow as well a responsibility, to on the individual to build up the capacity here in the country.
From your points, okay, from what you do from your work, how do you advise Uganda can best tackle the issue of climate change? Because the view is that the continent at large is contributing the least right now, but is going to suffer the worst. And with how things are, you can't really say that I can't say that let me wait for them to do something, because we all suffer at the end of the day. So how would you advise Ugandans to tackle this problem from their day-to-day lives, especially because we are locked down right now?
Okay. So I think, it comes down to, if I don't want to preach or somehow tell you how to run your life, or how you should lead your life. And I think in general, Uganda should primarily be focused on developing first and pursuing, a green development pathway. I think in your daily life, look for resource efficiencies, look for better modes of transport if they're available to you. Yes.
May you list some examples? So
yes,
people,
I'll get.
okay,
I'll
yes.
try to get to some examples. I find it sometimes a little bit challenging because in general in Uganda, it is already it's not such a consumerist kind of society. So in a way, you have an advantage in living in a sustainable and green way, compared to some other societies that I'm familiar with. So, but I think where savings can be made in how you treat rubbish. I mean, this is somehow a very visual and obvious one, that to treat the rubbish in such a way that it's disposed of properly. I'm not sure what kind of means are available to you to dispose of rubbish properly, if it be burning or if you can pay someone to collect it and dispose of it properly. But rather than just throwing on the floor and letting it go into the waterways and becoming a environmental hazard somehow like that. So then another one I notice quite frequently is the vehicles. So their vehicles here, I find, are usually somehow run not so efficiently. You can see that there's something wrong with the motor. There's a lot of black smoke coming out the back, and that's also a sign that somehow the vehicle is not running efficiently, because all of the waste is coming out of the tailpipe. So those are the rubbish and the vehicles, I think, are some obvious ones probably for your day-to-day life, that you can apply. Personally, I mean, especially the ones on the vehicles affects me very much personally, because I like to cycle. But with the pollution in Kampala, the cycling is somehow, yeah, less attractive than I wish it would be, because it's not a bad city to cycle in. It's a little bit hilly, but it's usually dry, and it's warm enough. So compared to some of the other places I've lived, it's quite pleasant to cycle, apart from the vehicle fumes. I mean, if you have the means and if it's possible, one thing as well is about the charcoal burning, which leads to deforestation in Uganda. So that's obviously an area that's being worked on with different projects and different approaches and different strategies, but it's still the somehow the most affordable way and traditional way of cooking. But it obviously leads to the air quality problems and deforestation, and landscape soil degradation and associated problems. So yeah, those are probably the ones I'd highlight for Uganda, Daniel. Thanks.
Okay, so your view is that we shouldn't look big and see what big nations have been doing yet, but we should concentrate small and focused to see day-to-day things which we can change. Where you can walk instead of drive, you should do so, because you are reducing your footprint. And then um, when disposing of trash, you shouldn't just throw it like outside a window. And then what would there are some people who have taken using the polythene bags, such trash, and then what, and they're making pieces of art. Would you advise that? Because today's topic is making sure that we are being responsible with production and the assumption. So yes, your view.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, sure. I mean, those are the 3 R's related to waste management: the reducing, the reusing, and recycling. So if that's available to you, I think that's and it's possible for you. That's excellent. And I mean, I see a lot of good examples on reducing and reusing, and okay, not so much recycling in this country, but reducing and reusing. There's many good examples that I see just out in the streets of Kampala. There's just close to my house here in the suburb. There's an artist that he takes the old tires and he turns it into artwork that he sells at the side of the road. So yeah, I mean that's a very good initiative, particularly with tires, because the recycling of tires and disposable tires is not so easy.
Thank you so much. Let me move on to the next speaker, and then we shall come back for some views which people have been sending in. So my next speaker is Miss Shadia. She's a member for Maitri, and she's the co-founder of uh, the Zan Foundation. She will come explain that more. So, Shadia, uh, while we wait for her. Oof. Ooh. Yes, thank you so much for coming on. So, may you please tell us more relating to you, and then we shall I'll dive in. Shadia, hello, hello, Shadia, Shadia. Seems we are having some. Shadia, are you there? Shadia, hello, hello, Shadia, hello. While we wait for the network to get settled, uh, let me be sharing some facts with you. Shadia, can you hear me? Shadia, hello, Shadia, hello.
Thank you very much for the opportunity granted to be part of this show this evening. My name is Genia
I mean,
Shadia Batenda, co-founder of Joy
big
Charity Organization and also working with NPI as a public relation. So this way today we shall
may you please pick up? May you please pick up? I can't hear you well. I'm not sure for the views, but I can't hear you well. May you please speak up? Shadia, Shadia, hello, Shadia.
yes, Daniel.
May you please
Yes, Daniel.
speak up so I can
Can you hear
hear
me,
you
Daniel?
better? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. But can you
Daniel,
please? Yes, I can hear you. But may you please speak up?
okay. I'm delighted to be part of the talk show this evening. As already introduced, my name is Dania Shadia Batenda, a co-founder at Joy Charity Organization and also working with NPI, that's my free initiative, basically. Then, anything else to say? Talking about today's discussion about the responsible consumption and production, we realize
Shadia, are you there? Uh, while we wait for her to get reconnected, um, what we can be discussing right now is a statement came in asking uh, to you, sir, Mr. Sorry. Um, when you went to the My Tree uh, tree nursery, is that a potential field where people can uh, join in and then make some profits from? Because the view is that trees take so long to grow. So how will I earn from them?
Thanks, Daniel. So I'm not so exactly familiar with the model of the My Tree initiative, but I thought it was more of a charity. So I guess I guess it's not going to be really profitable or economic in the long term, because you were giving the trees away at cost or at below market rates, if I remember correctly. So
Um, my question to you was that when you went to see the My Tree nursery for trees, yes, we do give them away, but however, to a person trying to see how can they go green for their business, would you advise that a tree nursery would be a good starting point from your point of view?
from my point of view, so I think there's plenty of potential in Uganda for reforestation, given all of the deforestation that is happening. So yes, I think running a nursery on a competitive or on market basis is a potential business opportunity. I yeah, I'd have to see the business plan to really give you like a definitive answer to that. But as for sure, it's an option, and I know that there's a lot of plantations going on in Uganda that are run commercially, and for sure there's an opportunity to supply to such large scale enterprises as well.
Thank you so much. Now, Shadia, can you hear me? Shadia, Shadia, are you there? May you please say something? Hello? Seems network is disturbing us today. Wow. Shadia. Okay, uh, Joseph, you being a member of today's youth, where do you see that the youth's involvement in promoting planet-saving uh, jobs is crucial?
Thank you very yeah. Thank you very much. So your question is where or how do I see the youth's involvement? Is that it?
Yes, yes. Why is the youth getting involved in planet-saving jobs an important step to making our country more green?
Great. Thank you. So first of all, there's this common statement I hear people of today saying, including the youth ourselves, that actually the youth are the future of this nation, they're the future of this world. There's that common statement. So the reason as to why youth are actually coming out and getting involved in such initiatives that are actually saving our planet, things that are actually generated towards global action, maybe on pollution or on like what we are discussing today, climate change and so much, is because I feel the youth have actually realized that it's their time. They have realized that it is them that actually the future. It is them that actually need to be involved because this is their world that they are in. So they actually need to find ways, and this is actually their world. So they need to actually find ways to actually impact on saving the world, on actually making our planet more green. It's already green. The planet is already green, but the green is dying away. But they feel actually we youth, not they, but we youth actually we feel we need to actually create more because if you actually have more green everywhere, there is actually more possibility for our survival. It's actually going to be it's going to be longer. But if we have less green, then our survival is also it's also threatened. And we're not actually just looking at that, but we also look at the green and its way of being, that it's actually a habitat for actually other species. So we need to actually provide a habitat for them if they actually lost it. So we need to re to re to have to give them a habitat again so that they can actually have the life. So as youth, I feel we have taken part in such initiatives because this is our world and no one else is going to be there to actually, because our elders actually right now may not be in position to do it, and it's actually we that need to do it. No one else can do it for us, and we cannot say that we're actually going to be waiting for the next generation who are actually going to be our kids. We cannot say that we're actually going to wait for them to come and clean up the world for us, but it is us that need to do it, and we actually need to do it for them so that they actually find the world in a better position and they appreciate us. So that's actually why youth are actually coming out to participate in such initiatives through perhaps maybe tree planting. Yeah, tree planting basically that's the most common one here in Uganda, but I feel we can actually have more than that because when you talk about green campaigns, most people that's what they think about, tree planting. So that's basically why I think the youth are actually getting more involved in these programs. It's basically because this is our world and it is we that need to take care of it. No one else is going to do that for us.
You have mentioned on something very uh, crucial. Uh, my concern, whenever we tell people that they should go green in their business, they always think of plants. However, we need to encourage them that planting isn't the only way to go green. So I'm going to ask you to provide um, some of your says for how we can go green, because like what you do, your project is producing reusable pads which can be used up to a year, and that is something that is, I believe which is supporting going green, which is a reusable and which is going to be good for the uh, planet long term. So, can you share with us some of your views of business ventures or things which can go green outside of planting?
Yeah, thank you. So, like you already mentioned, I was actually going to give an example of my project, but you've highlighted on that a bit. I'll just maybe go deeper into that. As I told you in my first interaction on actually why how this is actually more of environmentally friendly, us having reusable sanitary pads. Actually, it comes with a lot of advantages, but for the case of tonight, I wouldn't go so far, but I would actually stick on perhaps environment. And so, if we have projects such as this, producing such products, I believe our world is going to be better in terms of being environmentally friendly, because this is these are business ventures that are actually environmentally friendly. So away from the planting, we come into such a business venture. You venture into manufacture of reusable sanitary pads. You're going to see that if you go into our slums here in Uganda, for example, there's going to be a less you're going to see a drop in the amount of waste that you actually find in the drains, you find on land, that actually causing, this is all pollution, by the way. So you're going to see a drastic fall in all that. And besides, we are not only working on reusable pads, but we are also working on reusable diapers for babies. So we are going far beyond what people think is actually green of planting. So we go far beyond that, because we thought of we saw how people actually are actually consuming a lot of these things that are having plastic, are having chemicals, and they are disposing them off badly. But we came up with these two products. Actually, we came up with three. We came up with the reusable sanitary pad, the reusable diapers, which is actually still, we're still doing our case study, and it will be out in the market soon. And also we are also looking at these bags. We have environmentally friendly bags that are actually not as dangerous as the polythene bags we know.
There was a very good statement which somebody posed to you. What is the safety of these pads? What guarantee can you give to a lady or to a girl out there that yes, indeed, you can use this pad for over a
Great. So that question actually usually comes in when I talk about these things. Now, as our project, we do not want to hide away things. You know, in very many businesses, if you talk to the owner of the business, show me how you do come up with this product, how you finally come up with this product. They usually do not want to share those ideas, and it is actually for the safety of the customer. Now, for the case of that question, if you look into unfortunately, I cannot share with how the materials look. But if you look at how we do these reusable pads, we just use sewing machines, and we are students who are trying to do this. We looked at all the materials that we use. We have a waterproof fabric. We have a certain cushion. We call it a cushion fabric. So the materials themselves can actually show the lady that it's actually very safe, and we can actually always do demonstrations at our premises to them, or even online. We show them demonstrations that this thing cannot leak. And why we say that it's actually reused up to a year, we do not say it is reused automatically for up to a year, but we say if it is used very well. If it
all
is
right.
used very well, if it's used very well, it can be used up to a year. And now, these ladies actually, most of them, they prefer that disposable, because it's actually cheap to them. They think it's cheap, which in actual sense it's not, because those disposable, perhaps I would say they are 7,000 a pack. So imagine a whole year you're going to be spending every month 7,000. You're going to be so just calculate how much that is. 7,000 times 12 months. That is a lot of money. But you can buy two packs of these reusable pads, and perhaps at 20,000, and the whole year you've used 20,000 Uganda shillings alone. So it's actually also a means of saving, but we would like to actually assure whoever actually wants to know about these parts is that we use materials that are chemical free and are not in any way plastic. So that is
All
actually
right.
the safety of this part. Yes.
Okay. So, um, just saying what has been mentioned here is that when we use things responsibly, we can save long term. Uh, my my hope is to get Mr. Mr. Ciru's view here on, is this a wise venture? Because at the end of the day, we are using less of the materials needed to produce these things, because we are making them less than why we need to produce them over and over and over again. So, Mr. Sir, has he left the show? Hello, Mr. Cyril.
There. I've been listening, Daniel. Thanks for the question.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds like a very worthwhile initiative. And for sure, it's if there's market acceptability and acceptable, by the users, for sure, it sounds like a very worthwhile thing to do. It seems to have benefits in terms of savings and also benefits in terms of resources used in the manufacture. So it's kind of one of those low-hanging fruit examples where it's kind of a win-win and win all around. It's better for the planet. It's cheaper for you. So yeah, I would definitely support what was presented.
Okay. So, what we have learned from today's show is that it is possible for us to go green, and it is possible for us to do reasonable production and consumption. However, we just need to make sure that we teach ourselves how best. And in this age and time whereby we can access any piece of knowledge from the best kind of writers just by tapping and searching up, surely we can do things slowly by ourselves. So, sir, thank you for coming. And one last thing that I would like to ask to you is that one of the major things we're asked is that, is the climate change problem we have right now, is it still reversible? Can we go back to how we are? Can you answer that within roughly 1 minute?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. So I'm not a climate scientist by any means, but from what I understand, it's even if we were to drastically reduce the greenhouse gas emissions right now, because the gases have got such a long lifespan in the atmosphere. The climate change is not easily reversible. It's a long lag until you'll see any effects. So the amount of climate change we have right now, we're going to have to live with that, for the rest of our lifetime. But what we're trying to do is to reduce the emissions so it doesn't get worse. We might be able to maintain something similar to the status quo if we try really, really hard and really make the best effort. And that's kind of the best we can hope for. But if we just continue with the business as usual, then we're likely to see more drastic impacts of climate change.
Thank you so much. Thank you to those who have tuned in. Thank you so much for providing your say, Mr. Cyril, Mr. Joseph. Sadly, Shadia could not share due to network problems, but thank you all who have come And please subscribe and come back next week. Thank you and have a wonderful night and nice time. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.